Hey everybody, welcome back to the RGR Football Channel. My name is Daniel Harms, and today we're getting into the regular season. Finally, it's going to be happening soon for everybody. Tomorrow, Thursday night football, back Buccaneers, Cowboys. I'm actually excited to watch football again for the first time in a while. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the stuff that has been revealed through the press conferences before practice on Wednesday and get through some of that. And then I'm going to go through some of my overarching predictions for this 2021 NFL season. I think we kind of understand. If you follow me on Twitter, you know one of them already. I'm going to get more into depth about that. But starting off, I think we can really talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire says he feels 100% ready to go for Sunday. That's huge for this team. I think that they're going to be tested up front by the front four, specifically of the Cleveland Browns. That's going to be an interesting battle within the battle. I think the trenches really are where this game comes down to. Travis Kelce talked about how he's basically, if you're not winning the Super Bowl, you're just a failure that season. So this team is really Super Bowl or bust every year, which, considering where they've come for the last 3 years, is awesome to really see that overarching concept in the locker room. They are committed to winning the Super Bowl. They're committed to getting back to it this year. So I'm excited to see how they end up taking on this season after a lot of times when you lose a Super Bowl, it comes with a hangover. So I like to see them take that challenge on head on and really see what comes of it. Also, Tyrann Mathieu is still in the COVID-19 protocols. They say that the tests are going well, which makes me assume that he's tested negative at least once. And since we are assuming that he's got the vaccine, I think that was confirmed at some point earlier last week, that he only has to have one more negative test before the game on Sunday to play. I expect him to play. So, yeah, that's where really where we're at right there with him. I think that what this comes down to for the secondary is if Matthew can't play on Sunday, it's going to be a very difficult game overall. Yes, they have some guys they trust with Sorensen and Thornhill, and then you're probably going to see a lot more of Armani Watts than you're used to seeing, which we'll get into that later, probably on the the game plan with Ryan and myself that will be dropping on Friday night. So make sure you tune in for that. All right, my first thing that I want to talk about with overarching concepts is I think that Chris Jones is going to win the Defensive Player of the Year award this year. He's going to have opportunities to rush the passer from everywhere on the front four, on the front line. He's going to be a force out on defensive end, which will allow him to collect more tackles than he's used to getting at just playing defensive tackle. Being that edge defender, a lot of teams run away from Frank Clark specifically because he's been such a good run defender over his career. That might mean that they run more at Chris Jones, but really you don't want to run at either of these guys. So I think that the sacks that are adding up, the tackles for losses, the potential for more tackles for losses that Chris Jones can gather this year, playing at two different positions. If he gets in one All Pro at one position or the other, I think it'll be at defensive tackle because I think he's going to rack up a ton of sacks from that three tech position. When you bring him in, you can just knock John Reed over, and then you can bring in whoever you want to on the outside for those pass rush situations. It's going to be hell for for offensive lines, excuse me, to really figure out who's going to be coming from that point. So they're going to have a much better season this year in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, getting to the quarterback, and getting to the ground. I think they're going to be one of the top five overall sack leaders in the NFL as well as a total defense. Spags has done a great job of coaching up these defensive backs to blitz. He's going to use Nick Bolton a lot more when Willie Gay is finally back. He's going to use him more. I think Hitchens is an excellent blitzer. They're going to have a ton of different ways that they can attack offensive lines and quarterbacks with the different disguises that Spags brings to the table on defense. So I think that they could really have a 50-plus sack season for the entire season, especially with that added game. I think that they're going to do a really good job of getting after the quarterback this year. And with the fact that they're such an underrated defense, I think that really leads me to believe that by the end of the season, they could be very easily, in my opinion, a top 10 defense in the NFL, with points allowed in terms of just overarching DVOA type of defense. They're very underrated. Yes, the linebacker core still has some questions. They have to get Willie Gay healthy. Nick Bolton is going to have to take over a lot and take on a lot in his rookie season that he may not have been prepared for, and that the coaching staff may not have prepared him for yet. But this is now the NFL. You're here. You got to start showing that you can progress. You have to start learning that playbook better. He's learned a lot of different linebacker positions to this point. So I'm expecting to see him all over the field in the first couple of games, really getting a lot of that experience, and on the field a lot when Anthony Hitchens is. That's really key for me because he is the green dot and he's going to learn a lot from him. So those guys are really going to be almost key for each other. I think that when Nick comes off in those nickel sets, it's going to be Anthony Hitchens and Ben Neiman, and the improved speed from both of them is going to help everywhere. They were not that great in past defense last year. Uh, Neiman had gained some weight trying to take on the run a little bit better. I think they're going to use him much more effectively in his pass situations this year, getting him in zone and allowing him to be a little bit quicker because of some of that trim down that he has. So I think that this defense could be one of the top 10 in the entire NFL, especially with the way that this front four is very deep. And it's one of the best in the NFL, just looking at it front to back. It really is. I think it's going underrated. The Jerron Reed signing we talked about is one of the most underrated aspects of this entire defense and one of the most underrated aspects of the offseason. People don't really understand this seemingly that now Chris Jones is going to be playing defensive end. Frank Clark still, yes, he's not suspended yet. We don't know what's going to happen with that. But as of now, he's primed to have his best season as a Chief. And I really hope to see that from him this season. Now we're going to talk a little bit about L'Jarius Sneed, who I think is going to be a Pro Bowl player. He could really be an all-pro corner in this defense, having experience on the outside and then bumping in a nickel to that slot cornerback position. He's gets his hands on the ball a little bit more this year. He's really going to have an opportunity to be an all-pro. I think he's got more than enough skills to do it. We all know that we've seen that short area quickness. It's why he's bumping into the nickel of the slot cornerback position when the team goes to nickel. And the ability that he brings to this defense to not only get his hands on the ball, but to find it, to locate it, to help everybody else out with seeing where the ball is going, I think is going to be huge. He's probably already one of the most experienced corners on the roster in terms of playing on the field. I think Ward obviously is the most game experience, but he doesn't have what L'Jarius Sneed brings to the table. So seeing what he does, I'm hoping that bumps the level of play up from Charvarius Ward as well, who has to have a better season this year, or he's going to lose his job to DeAndre Baker, in my opinion. So I think that, yeah, L'Jarius Sneed is going to have close to an all-pro type of year. And if he does, then this defense is really going to be a top 10 defense in the NFL. Now, let's go switch to the offensive line a little bit here. I think we can look at it. Obviously, there's a lot of questions in terms of what they can do over a 17-game season. They're going to have a lot of those questions answered in the first game. They can have a huge test against the Cleveland Browns front. I know a lot of people want to hate on Jadeveon Clowney. Ryan and I will talk more about the specific matchups in the trenches on Friday with that game plan video. I'm not going to get too much into it right now, but I think that you're going to start to see some of the communication working in and out of itself on Sunday, whether it's good, whether it's bad. They got to figure all that out. This is a great opportunity to get that in the first game of the season. They're going to have a huge opportunity to get on the same page with a very good defensive front and a very fast young defense behind that defensive front. Yes, they're not as experienced, but they're very fast and they're going to be blitzing. I can tell you that right now. They're going to be trying to confuse the offensive line. Now, the blitzing does really kind of play into Patrick Mahomes' hands because of the way that Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, all these guys can get open so quickly. So the offensive line could definitely have more than a couple Pro Bowlers on it. I do believe they're going to have an All-Pro. They're going to have an All-Pro left guard. I think that I know that earlier in the year, I didn't think he could get to that level, but I think that Joe Thuney is going to have the opportunity to become an All-Pro again this season. I'm not going to say that Creed Humphrey is going to get there yet, but I do think that's in his realm of possibilities to finish the season. Definitely possibility next year, not so much this year, just because you have to figure all that stuff out. I'm very excited to see the right side of the offensive line for that regard as well. But I think when it's all said and done, that Clyde Edwards-Helaire can have an incredibly productive second season. If they use him more in the pass game, like this is going to be one of those situations that, yeah, he underperformed by a lot of standards last year. He was a first pick for the Chiefs and at number 32 after they won the Super Bowl and let a lot of people down, really, if we're talking about it in just fantasy perspective in how you treat a first round draft pick. They brought in Le'Veon Bell, which was an interesting dynamic because you do take him as your workhorse in the first round, and then you just kind of ease him into the offense with the terminology and everything. And now in the second season, he's up to speed. He knows everything. Yes, he had a little bit of an ankle injury, but I think he's going to have a game on Sunday. Even with that, the defensive front as good as it is, I think not only is he going to be able to get those yards on the ground, I think he's going to get them to the air too, because some of these linebackers, yes, they're fast and they're athletic and they're young, but Clyde was doing insane angle routes and these Texas route where you come out of the backfield and then go over the middle of the field in college to these linebackers, and I think he's going to be able to do it again with attention on Travis Kelsey. You can really zone and hone in on the fact that Clyde is one of the best route runners on his team. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to on Sunday. But now to get to the overarching points that I was telling you about, Patrick Mahomes is going to have one more chance not only to win MVP but to break NFL records. I think that realistically, I'm not there yet with him breaking the passing yard record, but he definitely could this season. If this offense gets to that level that we think it is, he's going to have this incredibly not only passing yard productive level, he's going to throw so many touchdowns this year that he might break the record there too. Like I think Travis Kelsey will break his own record that he set last year of tight end passing yards. I think Tyreek Hill is going to have a chance to get a ton of yards in this offense, just because the way that they're built to open everything up with the run game a little bit more is going to pay off for these guys in the end of it all. Because I think that you're going to have more of those one-on-one opportunities. Defenses are going to start the season early on, lots of zone coverages, rush four, and that's pretty much what you're going to see. I think that they're going to blitz a little bit here and there just because defenses feel like they have to every now and then to keep a team honest. But for the most part, they're going to drop back and they're just going to make Mahomes work. So you're going to see more running in the beginning, in my opinion. And then when defenses try to counter that, that's when you're going to start hitting them out over the top again with Travis Kelsey, with Tyreek Hill. And you can add McCole Hardman to that too. I think that he's going to play a role in stretching the field deep again this year, much like he did in his first season. But I think he's going to be a little bit better. I do believe that McCole Hardman's going to have his best season as a Chief. I think he's going to go close to 800 yards this year. That's where they fed him the ball in that Arizona Cardinals preseason game because Tyreek Hill wasn't there. You have to start doing that because now you have to see what he can do without Tyreek on the field. That's something you have to be prepared for. But now you have both of them. He is slated to be their starting other X-ish wide receiver. He's not going to play all of his reps out on the X. He's going to get some on the outside this year. Going to get a lot of movement. That's what Andy Reid does. We all know Andy Reid moves his wide receivers around. So I'm looking forward to seeing, McCole Hardman have a relevant season where he gets close to double-digit touchdowns. I think it's very possible you could get him close to double-digit touchdowns. And to be honest with you, that's all you should really expect from a second-round player. That you yes, I know a lot of people believe that he was selected because the Chiefs thought they were going to lose Tyreek Hill. But if you're looking at McCole Hardman, the player that he is, he's not close to the athlete that Tyreek Hill is. He doesn't have that short area quickness. That's why you don't see him do a lot of whip routes and a lot of change of direction kind of stuff in the open field. He can make guys miss, but he does it mostly with his acceleration and his ability to get upfield quickly, that burst. That's what he has best. He's not a guy who's going to do a lot of the jumping around and these cutbacks and things like that, but you can still utilize him in some slant positions. You can use him more on those RPOs and make those linebackers pay for just wanting to stop that run just a little bit. When you start to run it more with Clyde up the middle and you get those 7-8 yard chunks, linebackers are going to start to cheat a little bit. Then you can hit McCole Hardman over the middle on one of those slant routes from the RPO position and have him take it to the house. So I'm excited to see him one more year. This is really his make or to break it year. I'm predicting he's going to have close to 900 yards, 800-ish yards with nearly 8-9 touchdowns. That's what I really want to see from him. I think that Andy Reid's going to have an opportunity to win head coach of the year. I really do. And I know that a lot of times it goes to these younger guys that with bad teams that make them good. But Andy Reid and this offense and this team is going to go back to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. They're going to have a great record once again, shattering that over on their win total record number that they have right now. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but whatever it is, I'm hitting the over on it. They hit 14 last year with everything set against them in terms of winning the Super Bowl, having to go back to it. I do think that they're going to get over on their win total this year, and that's going to put them squarely in position to win head coach of the year. Eric Bieniemy is going to have a ton of opportunity. So really what this comes down to for me is what I want to hear from you, the fans, everyone that watches this. I want to see what you guys think. Give me one thing, just one. You don't have to go crazy about it. You can if you want to. One thing that you're looking for at the end of the season that you think really could happen with this team, whether it's player wise, whether it's team wise, whether it's offense, defense, doesn't matter. Anything that you guys think is going to happen that you realistically think. Like I I know that some of us have expectations and some fantastical expectations. Whatever you guys want, just put it down there in the comments. We'll talk about it. We will have some conversation about it down in the comments below. And this is it, guys. This is coming up. Obviously, tomorrow is that Thursday night game. The weekend is almost here, really. If we're talking about it Wednesday night, I'm so excited to see this Chiefs team take the field against a very good Cleveland Browns team. Like I mentioned before, you'll see that game plan video on Friday. Ryan and myself. Ryan got some minutes with Matt Derrick. He's going to have that in the video as well. And there's also a special guest coming on to the end of that with Ryan and myself. We did an interview last week, and you guys are really, really going to enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. He's incredibly funny. And make sure you tune into that game plan video on Friday. We're going to talk about everything that I would do for the game, that Ryan would do for the game, that we think is going to happen, all that stuff. And I can't wait to see what you guys think too. So make sure you're hitting that comments about what you think is going to happen overarching on this year. And we'll see you on Friday. Make sure to tune in on Thursday too for Seth and Ryan. Don't forget those live streams. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.